bugger it. Of course I sleep with a mic on. Why wouldn't I? I might need to film for occasions just like this. Okay, so part 2, Keanu Reeves. We're going to go through a lot of films today, including Speed, The Matrix, Bill and Ted 1 and 2, Toy Story 4, Always Be My Maybe, and Constantine, and Man of Tai Chi. The directorial debut of Keanu Reeves. But as you can tell from behind me, it is presently 1:10. Unfortunately, I'm pretty awake because it's hard to get sleep sometimes, Stay up watching movies all day, So, I'm going to talk about, firstly, Speed. And yes, I will most likely be going back to sleep after trying to get back to sleep. Tomorrow, we'll get to the rest of the films. Okay? Cool. So what have I written in my notes? Alright. So, get this. Vroom vroom. Am I right? Am I right? Or am I wrong? No, I'm not, because it's Speed. That 90s film from 94? Was it 92? I think it was 94. That would make sense, right? Yeah? Yeah, cool. Alright. So, yeah, alright, pop quiz. How 80s is this movie? Very 80s. Very 80s indeed. Which is kind of weird, again, because it's a 90s film, but it feels like an 80s film. It feels, I don't know, it's weird. It feels very 80s. At least it did when I wrote my review. So, of course, Keanu plays Jack Traven, LAPD, joined by Sandra Bullock as Annie, of course, because, where's Annie? Am I right? And Dennis Hopper as the bad guy. Because I bet even you don't know his name. Oh, who said that? Get it, burn. Because he burned his hand. Anyway, yeah, so we all know how amazing this film is. Simply put, it's a tense action film with amazing practical effects and stunt work and audio design and 10 out of 10 film right there. Am I right? Yes, am I right? I don't remember what I reviewed this film. So, okay, premise-wise. Simply put, there's a bomb on a bus, and if the bus goes less than 50 miles an hour, the bomb will go off. Of course, the bomb is set after the bus goes 50 miles an hour, but, if it goes below, It's speed, you understand what's happening. It goes fast, and if it doesn't go fast, it goes boom. Fast boom movie with 3 booms, and only 2 of them are fast. One of them tries to be fast. Actually, it kind of is fast. Because you got the first one's the elevator, which is a really interesting way to set up the film and introduce the characters and the kind of themes and jokes and stuff and the main bad guy and everything. Then you got the bus, the main part, the majority of the film, the bus. And then you got the train at the end, because they left the boat for the third one. Third one? Second one. Imagine if there was a third Speed movie, that'd be weird. Anyway, so Keanu, his performance. Let's talk about our boy Keanu. He is stern but charming. He's a dreamboat. Every girl loved him in the 90s, especially Sandra Bullock. Thank you, Ellen. He's a badass, but he's not macho. He's nice. He can play a nice guy. He can play the cop, the nice cop who's a badass because he's so cool at what he does. He's a badass. He's like Keanu Reeves in, like, other films that he's in, where he's a badass, but, like, nice. It's a good character for him. I think this is probably my first favorite performance of his. Like, I remember watching this film after we watched Poltergeist for the first time as a way to calm ourselves down from watching Poltergeist. And by us, I mean my parents showed Sam, Noah, and myself Poltergeist when I was maybe, 10? Yeah, I'm gonna go with 10. It was definitely primary school. And then we watched Speed right afterwards, and that was great, actually. That's great. I've watched it probably almost once a year. I don't think I watched it last year, unfortunately, but I think I maybe watched the year before. I watch it at least once every 2 years. It's great, and sometimes it's just on TV, so I just watch it because it's Speed. It's great. It's Speed. So yeah, of course, that was quite the combo. Spooky 80s horror film and then cool 90s action film. 10 out of 10. Dennis Hopper, of course, is amazing as the villain. He's Dennis fucking Hopper, of course. He's amazing as the villain. He's amazing as an actor and crazy as hell. You gotta give that guy some credit. He's bloody bananas. Have you watched Blue Velvet? Whew. We'll be talking about that one. No, we won't be. We could be, we should be, but we won't be. But you should watch Blue Velvet. That's got a great Dennis Hopper performance, just like Speed does. Anyway, so yeah, this is a solid action film with good moments, memorable, good performances. This is a solid action film with good performances, memorable action scenes, and one hell of an original song in the end credits, that's for sure. Got some decent one-liners, of course, the pop quiz, hot shot, that one's probably everyone's favourite. Yeah. And of course, I noted down that the sound design is amazing. I believe I gave this film 4, maybe 4.5 stars out of 5. Either way, reviews on screen now. Oh, I just realized the framing of this video is going to make me hate myself in post. Put the poster here, my friend. There we go. Cool. Speed. Yeah. Would I recommend Speed if you haven't watched it? Yes. It's probably a good starting point for Keanu. Kind of weird, and I'm saying that in the second Keanu Reeves review. It's a good starting point, I think, for watching films of him in it, because you get that kind of cheesiness that he has, but you can also get a good nice side to him, which is really good. It's definitely a good performance from him, and I think a lot of people's favorite performance. He doesn't seem too dumb. He's definitely not Bill and Ted anymore. Holy shit, he's Keanu Reeves. He's cool now. Oh, what? It's around Point Break time, so it makes a lot of sense. Cool. All right. I'm gonna go to sleep now. So just bye. I guess. I'll see you in the morning. Am I convincing yet? I mean, how do people usually sleep? I'm so tall for my bed that I actually hit the top. I'm kidding. Alright. Good night. Let's talk Duke Kaboom. So, Toy Story 4. This 2019 release, this continuation of the Toy Story saga is an amazing film. However, what you might definitely have known about, because Keanu Reeves was the meme for the start of June, he plays Duke Kaboom. Kaboom with a C, not a K. Canada's greatest stuntman. So what the hell do I really need to say about this? I mean, he's obviously not the main character. He's an additional but key side character who even has his own story arc, because of course it's a Toy Story film, so of course it's going to be well written. I guess, without any spoilers, because I don't really need to mention the plot in regards to the film. It's Toy Story 4. You're gonna watch it if you like the Toy Story films. I think that's pretty obvious. He's a very fun and funny character, and easily an asset that just a key part to the film. And from the moment he's first on screen, you're like, I 100% dig this character. So I guess a tiny spoiler. He does say "whoa," and it's great. And I laughed so hard when he said it, and I'm like, yep, they definitely wrote this part for Keanu Reeves. Like, how could they not? It is definitely a 5-star film. And that's actually more because of the film itself rather than Reeves' performance. But at the same time, Keanu Reeves is in Toy Story, and it's fucking amazing. Yeah, there's not really much else I need to say about it. Keanu Reeves is great. Toy Story 4 is great. I 100% suggest you check it out. I guess in terms of acting, he's stoic. He plays the character of Duke Kaboom really well. He has this soft side because of his backstory, and you're like, you feel bad for him, but then he has his character arc, and you're like, yeah, yes, you root for him and everything. Like he's the perfect character. Yeah. That's all I can really say about this. I'm gonna go have a shower now and continue this video shortly. Hopefully there'll be no more nightmares. Alright. Always Be My Maybe. Yeah. I'm sitting it here because it's Netflix, so I figured, well, I watched it on my laptop. I should probably review it while I'm reading the script off the laptop. Yeah, boy. So, what do we got? Always Be My Maybe. It's got people in it. It's a fun film, so let's just talk about it. My quote, because for some reason I'm starting to implement my Letterboxd quotes. I put a quote from the film in my Letterboxd review. Hashtag check out my Letterboxd. Anyway, this is fishing, isn't it fun? It's great. It's like the first line I laughed at in the whole movie. I'm like, actually, this is pretty good. I'm loving it. Cool. So yeah, what the fuck? He plays himself. Except if he was written by someone who loves him a lot, and it's like, I'm a big fan of Keanu Reeves, but I'm gonna make him like really cool at first, and then I'm gonna make him a dick. Because he's a human being, of course he would be eventually a dick. I mean, no offense to the actual Keanu Reeves, he probably isn't like that, but I don't know, because I don't know him. And I don't care to watch those videos on the internet saying, Keanu Reeves is a nice guy. Keanu Reeves is a bad guy, and everyone just thinks he's a nice guy. I don't give a crap. You don't give a crap. You watch his movies. And that's all it is. And I just realised there's a weird white thingy in there. It's a silver thingy. I'm not talking about myself, there's a silver thingy on the camera. It doesn't matter. Okay, so, yeah, it's like, cool. But I don't mean him like as in being an actual dick, like, well, yes, but mostly egotistical. Anyway. So, Keanu comes in halfway throughout the film. So by that stage, you already like the characters, you already like the story, you like the tone, the sense of humor, the drama, you like everything. If you don't, I don't know why you'd be watching to that point anyway, unless you just want to watch it for Keanu's performance. If so, yeah, go for it. You could probably watch that whole all of the whole Keanu bit, which is like 10-15 minutes, probably 10 minutes. You could watch it all by itself without any context for the rest of the film. Like, it's all the context is pretty visually set up. It's a dinner date, but it's a couple's dinner date, and you've got the main two characters. The dude who's your main character, well, actually, they're both the main character, but the male lead is with his girlfriend there, and he doesn't like his girlfriend that much. He wants to be with the other girl, and the other girl has brought her date, and it's Keanu Reeves. What? Okay. So the main character girl who Keanu Reeves is dating is Sasha, who's played by Ali Wong. And Marcus Randall Park's character is jealous because Keanu's with Sasha and he wants to be with Sasha. So yeah, but it's mental. The whole dinner scene is it's like a rich person's dinner, except like postmodern rich person's dinner. So it's not like a long ass table with all these people in fancy dress. It's like a complete joke on that. It's like mini buffets. Everyone's in casual clothes pretty much because it's like, oh, casual's the new rich and whatever. It's kind of actually quite funny. So what can I say about the film? It's it's a charming romantic comedy with good characters and a good moral to it and whatever. All the good stuff you want in a film. The chemistry between the leads, I think, is pretty spot on. They work really well with the drama. They work really well with the comedy. I believe they actually co-wrote it together as well, so that probably helped. Yeah. Keanu... Yeah, they don't rely on Keanu. A lot of people were kind of criticizing the film that, it's like, oh, just because you used the majority of your budget on a cameo for like 10 minutes, it's like, yeah, but did you see that cameo for 10 minutes? That cameo for 10 minutes is great. Keanu is great in the film. He just comes out of nowhere, comes out of left field. Like, even his first scene, you don't see his face, all you see is the side of him, and he asks the main character if she's this particular person, the main character, Sasha, so he asks Sasha if she's the person who does the party for whatever the thing is. And then she looks over at him because she's like, oh god, I want to get out of here. She looks at him and she's like, oh my god, and then just cuts to the next scene. And you don't even find out who he is until he comes in at the dinner scene. And it's cool. Anyway, there was also a rap in the end credits about Keanu Reeves, which is quite fun and very funny. Overall, I gave this film 3.5 stars. I think the extra half star is probably because of Keanu Reeves' performance, but for the most part, the film kind of deserves that extra half star as it is. So, but I don't think it warrants it. I don't think it warrants being a 4-star movie. Yeah, mostly because like for the movie itself, the last 20 minutes feels a bit too rushed and all over the place, and it's like, okay, we get it. You were cut short for time, so you just managed to montage the crap out of it, pretty much. And I didn't really like the last 20 minutes. I mean, it also became the generic thing once you had everything actually kind of wrap up. Then they're like, oh, forced drama for a third act because we wrapped the story up way too early. Anyway, but yeah, no, the Keanu bit's good. I'd recommend watching it just for him, but I'd also recommend watching the film because the film is rather fun. Next up we have... No, we're not going to talk about Constantine yet. We'll get there. I did watch it on Netflix, but I'm not going to review it yet. We're actually going to talk about The Bad Batch. Never heard of it? No, I hadn't either. My friend Guy recommended it to me because I'm like, I need Keanu Reeves films to watch for my review. And he's like, oh, you should watch The Bad Batch. It's on Netflix. And I'm like, okay. And I did. So Keanu plays the Dream in The Bad Batch. There's actually a piece of paper early on in the film that literally says, find the dream, find comfort, which, take what you will from that. I took it straight away as a sexual innuendo, and, given that he is the dream, you can kind of assume what'll happen, but not really. The film itself, I kind of was like, it's like Escape New York, but if New York in that film was Texas, like the whole state of Texas. So there you go. It's mostly desert. Like the same 3 desert locations, pretty much. It's like, well, you have this one town with the cannibals. You have this one town with the people who were eaten by the cannibals but then escaped. And you have the desert in between, and that's the whole set. So, it's not bad. Okay, so let's talk about... Let's just go... I think... Yeah, I'll get to what the film is like in a bit. But first, let's start with Keanu Reeves' performance. So he's like a 70s musician, got the big moustache, he's got the big sunglasses, he looks like his hair has been so pampered that, like, you look at him in John Wick, and then you look at him in this, and his hair's volume has increased by, like, 5, and it's just very out. So that's yeah. He looks very strange in a way, but like it kind of suits him at the same time. Anyway, so he's famous in the Bad Batch in the film as the Dream. He's like starts off at he seems to kind of host this kind of club thing, this disco. That's the DJ is like that dude from Star Wars Rogue One. You know, that character you forgot about because everyone forgot about that film. At least I did. Anyway, he takes care of a kid who in this rich ass looking place with. At first, I thought it was his one pregnant wife. Then I realized he's the leader of a sex cult, pretty much. Like he will let people stay at his place for safety, and it's pretty much only women because, of course, women are the most vulnerable people on the planet. I mean, that's unfortunately true. And so he takes care of all of them and gives them all a room and the fanciest clothes, and they can go on his pool and everything. But you pretty much have to sleep with him, at least until you get pregnant. Because like he has like 10 women there, all that mostly carry submachine guns and are all pregnant. And it's like, okay then, sure, why not? He doesn't seem evil, like there's no real villain in the film. He technically is because he gets the kid, but then the main character takes the kid to begin with, so it doesn't really... He's circumstantially the villain. Like, he seems to be the good guy of the place. Like, for the poorer people, he will... he's obviously this kind of representation of, like, capitalism over the poorer areas, and he's, like, the rich tyrant, and he's like, well, look, you can live in my area for free. We'll give you a house and a few extra necessities to help you survive, and you can set up your own small market and whatever. But I'm going to live in this rich-ass place, and every night we're going to have a disco party thingy. So that's happened. A rave. Yeah, and then he gives everyone drugs. So he makes drugs, he has a sex cult, and he's rich as fuck. So, yeah, so what's this quote? Then say you can catch more fly. Oh, they say you can catch more flies with honey, but who wants flies? That's a line he says in the movie, and I like that line. That's pretty good. It's weird and stupid, but it's good. It's and the way he delivers it is like, yeah. Yeah, so he runs this big drug operation in Comfort, which is the place... it also is a pun, because it's like, oh, it's not just because he's got his own seclusion of Comfort, he's also given everyone else comfort for both A, you have a place to live, B, you have a place that's safe from danger, and C, I'm going to give everyone drugs every couple of days. Comfort. I mean, that's pretty obvious. This is the second Netflix film where Keanu has, like, a small but significant role. And, he looks kind of weird and says strange things or has strange monologues or spiritual discussions about things and whatever. The other film, of course, having been Always Be My Maybe. So, yeah, it's similar to Always Be My Maybe in, like, his relation to the film. He's in it for more than just 10 minutes, but, like, he's not always there in it, like, background kind of thing. Overall, the film is alright. The pacing is slow but consistent. It's a long 2 hours. Like, I was cool for the first hour, maybe first hour and a half, and I'm like, okay, where is this going? And then the last half an hour to 45 minutes kind of, was just kind of a drag. So, you don't want to be jumping onto your phone and just scrolling through, Twitter or whatever whilst you're watching a film on Netflix. It gets dry for about 20 minutes in the latter half, yeah, but then it picks up again because, of course, it has to resolve the story. And, I mean, overall, look, it's well shot. It has good sound design and everything. It's one of those things that's got really good production to it, and it's got a really great cast. I mean, you got Jason Momoa, you got Jim Carrey, you got Keanu Reeves. So it's not bad. It's just kind of boring. It could put you to sleep. So there's that. It's a criticism. It's more of an art house film, I'd say. But it's still good. I think the film that the director had done previously was much more regarded. So I might check out that one at some stage. I think it's like a woman walks home alone at night or something like that. Yeah, so I gave it the film 3 stars for its efforts. Even the slow but somewhat bizarre storytelling. Yeah, I'm interested to see what else the director makes. So I'll hopefully check out her previous film. But for the most part, this one isn't bad. If you have 2 hours to kill and you literally have nothing else to do, I'd suggest this. It's got some good performances at least, and it's well shot. So yeah. Okay, let's move to another location. So, Constantine. Whew, that was a hell of a ride. I remember watching this when I was like a kid, and I thought it was really cool, and then I never watched it again. Because I remember in high school, a lot of people like kind of criticizing, Keanu Reeves for being a bad actor, and that's why it took me so long to watch the first John Wick film, because it was like, but Keanu Reeves is a bad actor. Why don't I watch his films? So yeah, it's like modern day Nick Cage, and think about how many people missed out on watching Mandy because of it. So, Constantine. Oh. My quote, of course, the horse, the wonderful Mr. Ed, says, "This is Constantine, John Constantine, asshole." Now, I'm not cool like Keanu Reeves is, so imagine Keanu Reeves saying that, and I'm not providing a clip, but imagine him saying that, then it's cool. So yes, I can definitely say first up that this film is actually really competently shot. Like, I really like the cinematography of this film. The opening exorcism, in particular, is really well done. Not just as it's shot, but as a scene. It does well to establish who John Constantine is, what he does, how he does it, and pretty much the overall tone of the film, which is like badass action horror film, which is good. That's what you want. I mean, there's some dated special effects, of course. It's early 2000s, not as big of a budget as it probably should have had, but that's just how it goes. Comic book films were popular then, but not extraordinary. Like even X-Men wasn't great special effects wise, unless it's X-Men 2. Anyway, so Keanu Reeves plays John Constantine. He's a paranormal detective who follows the classic noir detective tropes of being an absolute dick. At least he's not like really overly like actually he's not even sexist, which is really cool, like misogynistic like most old noir detectives are. What do we have? So yeah, he's hard boiled. He smokes a lot because why not? It's gonna kill him anyway. And that's kind of like half the plot of the film is like, you're gonna die. Don't go to hell. He knows his stuff. Pretty much the whole idea for his character arc is like, he's like, I can see the dead people and whatever, and I don't want them coming to our world, but then I also want to make meetings with God so that I don't go to hell, and that when I die from this obvious cancer that I have, that I go to heaven instead. So it's like, okay, cool, that works. That's a good setup. You can get behind that. You can get behind it enough, kind of. There's actually a Got Faith billboard, which is like a joke on the Got Milk one. That was a Michael Bay ad. Anyway, I just find that really interesting. So it's selling red wine instead of milk. Anyway, the film is entertaining, but it feels like it lacks substance. Which I think is due to two things, pretty much. One, the slow ass pacing. Like, it's not a long film, it's like less than 2 hours, but holy crap is the pacing slow as shit. Even during the action scenes, it's slow as shit. Yeah, so what is it? If this was an hour and 40, actually it is 2 hours, god damn it. If it was an hour and 40 down from 2 hours, like not if they'd cut it to an hour and 40, but if they'd filmed it for it to be an hour and 40, or if they'd had enough filler to add in those extra 20 minutes, but then still quicken up the pace, like gave better backstory details and whatever, it would have been much better. But unfortunately, it wasn't because of that. It's really slow and kind of boring. Yeah. And Rachel Weisz's character is really dull. Like, I don't care for her character. Like, she saw her sister kill herself, but then she's like, I know my sister didn't kill myself. She wouldn't do that. She's a devout Catholic. Anyway, it's just like, I don't care about your character. I didn't care about the twin either. The first thing you see her in is she kills herself, and then boom, the other Rachel Weisz wakes up, and you're like, what? There are two? And then you realize it's twins, and then it's like, oh god, they're doing this. But she's relevant to the plot, so I guess it's important. It's so weird because it's like, how is this relevant to the plot? The first thing they establish is the Sword of Destiny thing. You see it, a guy you see the text, then a dude finds it somehow in America and like conveniently buried with a Nazi flag, and it's like, okay, cool, just casually, and then he just brings it to the city, and like you have this whole expectation because everything dies around him when he's holding on to the Spear of Destiny, and he goes to the city and no one dies. Like he just suddenly he's at a hospital that's full of people who all die and become possessed by demons. So you kind of get the gist of it that, like, I guess if the Spear of Destiny goes around the place, then people will die and then the demons will possess the bodies. Makes it easy for when you want to kill them later because nobody gives a shit. Yeah, it's like, it's just kind of, it's a weird plot line. That's like the main plot, and it's like, but is it? Because there's like three plots. Who killed the sister? What's with the Spear of Destiny? Is Constantine gonna die? Then there's the actual main plot, which I don't even remember what it is. Something about angels coming, like devils, whatever, demons coming to Earth. They're not meant to be, apparently. They're not meant to be allowed to, or some shit. I don't know. Who cares? The plot is really bad. Shia LaBeouf's in the film. Young Shia LaBeouf, so that's like fun, I guess. Overall, Keanu is convincing enough as Constantine, but he pretty much just plays either boiled or hard-boiled or woeful, and it's like, nothing about it's really overly interesting. It's like, wow, I don't care about your character. It doesn't provide much to get behind, no like emotional value, It's like, just because he's cool does not mean I like him. Yeah, so that's not great. Yeah, like, I mean, the hard-boiled part isn't that bad, but he's just a bit too much of a dick for me, to give a shit, that's not how you're meant to do movies. That's not how characters work. You're meant to be likable. Be likable. Otherwise, we don't watch you. Why do you think Marvel's so popular? Because people like the characters. They're played well for the most part, and they're likable. Oh, and yeah, a lot of Constantine's friends just die really anticlimactically. It's like, okay, fine. There is a priest that dies in it, and like, I didn't realize what was happening until he started, because he tried drinking liquids, and suddenly they just wouldn't go into, like, they wouldn't come out of the bottle, and like, as if it was like a visual, like an actual glitch with the bottle or something. Even though he's unscrewed the lid, he smashed one open, tried to pour it in his mouth, and that still didn't work. And then you realize that the water was coming out of him too. Like, all the water was escaping his body. Like, it's like, all, it's kind of cursed. Like, you can't have fluids in your body, and it's like, it's a really weird death and really cool, but it's like also confused me for the first half because I had no idea what the hell was going on. I was paying attention. It was just really confusing. I'm like, oh, I get it. So it's like, that's what the curse is doing. He can't drink water because they're visually showing it, but it's like, it just takes a while for the water to start coming out of him because, flood builds up over time and stuff. So yeah, it's just kind of weird. Don't really care much for the characters or the threats, and that's kind of disappointing. And also, everything is like, everyone thinks related to the Spear of Destiny, but like, there's no urgency to it. Like, the dude with the Spear of Destiny just pops up random times just to show that he is traveling. Look, all these animals around him are dead, but he's walking. Then he steals a car. Wow. I mean, yeah, the scene in the hospital where the dudes fight the demon possessed people fighting Constantine is cool. That doesn't mean it's good. Like, it's like a few cool moments in the film, and that's pretty much all you're getting. The writing is boring. The pacing is a drag. The sound design is oddly quiet. I mean, it may have just been the version on Netflix. It was really quiet. But then, like, when they're talking and whatever, everything's quiet. But then loud-ass action scenes. My TV almost exploded. At least it sounded like it was going to, because of how loud it suddenly became during one action scene where a dude made of crab starts attacking Constantine. It's like, what is happening? I don't know. The acting isn't bad. It's actually pretty decent. Even Keanu Reeves, he's good. He's good. He plays the role well. It's just, I don't care much for the characters. And of course, the effects and design work is pretty good, and the cinematography, I think, is superb. So 3 stars. 3-star movie. Mild spoiler, Shia LaBeouf becomes an angel in the post-credit scene. I don't know why, he just does. Next up... Oh, this is a big one. Man of Tai Chi. Man of Tai Chi. Dun dun dun. Dun 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 dun. It's Keanu Reeves' directorial debut, and I have it on DVDs. No rules, no mercy. Pure fighting. Spooky. So Man of Tai Chi, there is one really long time-lapse shot that I think is really cool, but is like, I wonder how much money they spent on that, where they could have spent it otherwise in other locations. That probably would have helped certain things. I can't remember what parts, but some parts could have looked a lot better, or been a lot better. Anyway, of course my quote is, let the show begin. Yeah, boy. So Reeves' directorial debut seems like an odd highlight of like his own career highs and lows. It's got the good, sometimes often good storytelling, pretty freaking good action actually. Even for the long takes and for the quick cut takes, it's still really good. The acting, for the most part, everyone's pretty good. Keanu's a bit dry. He's very Keanu in the bad side of Keanu. But, there are moments where he's pretty good. So there's that. So like I said, it's like a culmination of all the stuff he's actually done to that point. So yeah, it's not bad. The narrative is a little messy. It focuses more on the protagonist and his fight scenes over the police plot line that is introduced. That's the first thing we're introduced to, is a police plot line that's like all about this underworld fighting thing. And sometimes you cut back to it, but like very little, and like you don't really care about the woman who's the detective. You just think that like she's kind of a dick, but then of course she isn't. She's the good guy, and it's like, why aren't you giving us more about her? And then things just happen. It's like, okay, cool. But our main character, our protagonist, is the focus. We focus on his conflicts, both internal and external. So it does make sense that we focus more on him, but I still feel like it could have been balanced better with the police detective. So yeah. But when you really think about it, the only reason why that she's not in much of it, because there isn't much for her to go on for like the whole entire film, until she realizes, oh, our main character is the guy I should be talking to about all this kind of stuff, probably. So she can repeat all the stuff she did before the film started, pretty much. So the dialogue isn't always perfect, especially one character who seems to be really Americanized, even though he's played by a Chinese actor, but it's like, why is he saying things that are so very American action movie, whereas this film is very obviously not just inspired, but is mostly Eastern. Like, it's filmed in probably China. China or Japan. Hold on. I mean, how ironic would it be? Well, it says Mandarin and Cantonese, so probably Hong Kong, actually. Wow, there is so much text on the back here. Like, there really is a lot of text on the back. But yeah, like the languages are English, Mandarin, and Cantonese, so I'd say China definitely, and Hong Kong, the both places. I think they're one and the same now, but I can't recall. Anyway, yeah, so there's just one character there who's very Americanized, whereas most of them speak like, not many people speak English in the film. I don't mind that, of course. I'm pretty fond of subtitles. But of course, Keanu Reeves doesn't speak very much Mandarin. I'm very sure or Cantonese. I think he just speaks English the whole time, which is fine, I guess. And that one dude who just speaks like an American. And it's like, okay, I don't know what you're doing, but sure. Reeves himself shows off to be a capable director, both in terms of how the characters act and how they fight. He shows the utmost respect of the art of martial arts, of course, especially that of Tai Chi, which is what inspired him to make the film, because he learned how to do Tai Chi, I think when he was doing The Matrix, and he wanted to do a film in like kind of respect of Tai Chi, and hence the Man of Tai Chi was born. Though the narrative can be predictable, it's not anything new, but it doesn't become dull at any stage. It's always entertaining. The fight scenes are always cool. You care enough about the main character, even though his story becomes a little like, should we really be caring about this guy given all the fighting he's doing? But it's like, it works its way around in the end, so it's okay. On the note of Reeves' performance, it's fun. He plays this sinister. He plays sinister really well, surprisingly. Like, I don't really think I've ever seen him be a villain before, and this time he's like not just corporate villain, but like, I'm a fighter and I'm not going to hesitate in killing people. And it's like, okay, calm down, Keanu, calm down. But at the same time, when he's fighting, he can pull some really hilarious faces, and it's like, oh no, what are you doing? Why are you making me laugh? It's a fight scene. I'm meant to be like really like wowed, but you're making me laugh because of the goofy ass faces you're pulling. It's probably because back when, say The Matrix, for example, when the Wachowskis were directing him, they were like, dude, stop with the funny faces, and he did, because he can't see his own face when he's acting and directing at the same time. So he is unfortunately one of the highlights of the sometimes not so great dialogue and his direction of said dialogue. But I guess, if you forget about all the English parts of the film, the Mandarin and Cantonese aren't actually that bad, at least in delivery. Like, some of the lines of dialogue are probably pretty yucky anyway, but the delivery could be bad as well. But for the most part, it's one of those things of like, oh, can I review a different language? And we've already been there with the Masami video, so for the most part, I'd say it was good. It wasn't bad, at least. Visually and audibly, the film isn't half bad either. The music is like a mix of traditional Cantonese and Chinese. I should just say Chinese, really. And kind of modern, almost electric at times music, which doesn't distract from the film at hand. It actually kind of enforces it and powers it, which is really nice. It gives you that whole ancient, traditional vibe, but also gives you this kind of whole modern technical approach. I was about to say techno, but I'm like, this isn't a 90s movie. I can't say techno anymore. What am I? A music dude? The fighting sounds realistic, but to a not too cartoony aspect, which I appreciate. It sounds good. Postmodern action cinema, if you will. There are some odd editing choices. Mostly to do with, at times, the fight scenes, actually. There are some weird, kind of point of view shots, or just these really weird shots that just come and kind of distract you, just suddenly. Very abrasive, and then it's just gone, and you're like, what? Why did you give me that shot? Why couldn't you just left on the other shot, or give me the start of the next shot, So, yeah. But there are some very interesting visuals at the same time. So, for example, there was an elongated time-lapse that's very creative. It just seems to kind of show the purpose of showing that time has passed. But instead they're like, let's see this time-lapse, then we're going to go up, and then back down, and then through this window, through this glass, and then it's going to be morning, and the alarm's going to go off, and the guy's going to wake up, and he's going to hit the buzzer. And that's the whole shot. It'll last for, maybe a minute, and it's like, okay, that was really impressive, but it's like, what the hell was the point outside of, it's the next day, I guess they had the budget for it, maybe. Why not? So lastly, the fight scenes are competently shot, with only one or two bad shots or setups that luckily aren't too distracting, except the flashing light sequence, which can get annoying if you can't follow the silhouettes, because, like, there's one scene where it's, like, the main dude is fighting two other dudes, and, like, you got, you know, you're looking at them like this, obviously not like this, but, like, they've got one dude on each side, one dude on each side, one dude on each side, but in the background's, like, flashing light, flashing light, flashing light, flashing light. And, like, sometimes if it's the one angle where you can see them, their silhouettes every couple of seconds after the flashes, it's alright, and it looks pretty cool. But then sometimes they change the angle or, like, go in a different direction. I'm like, what? No, I can't. I don't know what's happening. You've reset everything. I'm so confused. So, yeah, that was kind of... It was an interesting concept, but I feel like in execution it wasn't perfected as it should have been. And also at the same time, I don't like flashing lights. Like, I'm not against flashing lights. I don't get seizures conveniently, but, like, that seems just way too flashy, you know? Like, there was no... I'd say ambient light, if that makes sense. There's no one stationary light that always stays the same, and then everything else just goes black and then white and then black and then white. So, like, you get this bright, but then it's dark, and then it's bright and it's dark, and it kind of works really well with this one surrounding light, but there's no surrounding light, so it's just one light and another one. It's like, no, what are you doing? This isn't, no, god damn it. If you would argue that there is a surrounding light, it is very blue and very, very thin, and you cannot see it enough. And with the editing, it's very, very poor. Yeah. But overall, the film was fun. It's action-heavy and character-driven, and definitely one to check out, especially it being Keanu Reeves' directorial debut. Go watch it, it's pretty cool. Alright, new location. So I was going to move around, but then I got up and my legs started hurting because I've just been sitting on my legs for 20 straight minutes. So let's talk about Bill and Ted and their excellent adventure. I don't know why I moved like that. We all know Bill and Ted. They're two cool dudes, saviors of Earth, presidents of the future, or some really stupid bollocks. Anyway, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Your stepmom's cute. Hey! I love that quote. I really do. I love all the stepmom gags. They're great. Especially the second one, like, tops it. We'll get there. So Keanu Reeves plays Ted, a high school student who is not very bright, and has to pass his history test alongside his best mate, Bill. And hence, they go on an excellent adventure. What the hell is Ted's full name? Ted Theodore something or other? I've only watched it twice. So, some quotes that are just how they pronounce the other characters. Because, of course, we all know the plot of this film. It's these two dudes need to do their history exam, and if they fail it, then... It's a weird exam to begin with, but, like, if they fail it, then they get kicked out of school, and the band splits up, and one of them has to go to military school, and it's like the other one's just, they all get screwed over pretty much if they fail. So it's like, okay, so what do? They don't do anything. People from the future come back with a telephone booth time machine because they're like, Bill and Ted, you're the saviors of the world. You resolve, peace among everywhere. World peace is because of you and your music. And yet they're terrible musicians. And it's like, what the hell is going on? So they go throughout time and collect different figures like Sigmund Freud, Beethoven, Mr. the Kid, and Socrates. There are also a few others, but they actually pronounce their names properly. And then they do this whole big performance thing, being like, looky dudes, we're doing an actual big-ass whole presentation in front of the whole entire school. And it's really fun. And also so dumb, but so fun. Ted, in this case, has 3 moods. He has happy, he has sad, then he has yeah. So welcome to the end of the 80s, where dudes are dudes and everything is awesome. No, it's not 2014, it's 1989. Jesus, 1989, wow. So though I've never really been a big Bill and Ted fan. I never really watched it as a kid. I only watched it for the first time maybe last year, I think, maybe the year before. It's just like I didn't see the appeal in it when I was younger. I don't know why. I probably should have watched it when I was younger, but I think I'd heard most of the references and jokes. The whole quotes of excellent and all this dude bro attitude, but not the stupid, like just dumb dude bro, not overly macho dude bro, which is good, I guess. But I mean, the film is enjoyable. It's funny, and even though I don't really like the whole rock and roll future, it's a really nicely done, like satirical send up of 80s culture. So, when I'm watching it, I'm like, oh my god, I can't believe this is actually what they think the future is going to be like. But at the same time, it's not like, Blade Runner, where they're like, this is what the future really could be like. It's, hey, remember all those 80s films that are like all about the future and time travel and all really fun or goofy or really like philosophical? Yeah, we're going to send up all of those in one thing of it being rock and roll. These two people who are bad at it, yeah, they create world peace and a whole society based on their music, pretty much. Inspired by their music? I don't know. They never really play much of their music. And when they do, it sounds like really like weird rock anthems, but like anthem as in like slow-paced stuff that you'd probably have like an 80s sex scene set to kind of thing. So anyway, so I gave the film 3.5 stars. I think it's enjoyable. I don't think it's as phenomenal as people think, or people say, but it's definitely entertaining and amusing, and yeah, if it's on, I'd watch it. Keanu Reeves is fun. He's so dumb, and it's like obviously the gag that him and Ted are very dumb in the film. Him and Bill, yeah. Yeah, there's not really much I can say about it. There's not much I dislike. Like, the villain of the film is their own incompetence, more or less. The fun that they have with the time travel is pretty good. Napoleon going to Waterloo is just like, of course. So it's done well. Like, obviously the guys who wrote it were like, well, we understand who these historical figures are. We understand 80s culture. We're mixing it together and tying it in one big bow, and it's pretty superb. So I definitely recommend Bill and Ted. However, oh no, I don't think I have my review for Bill and Ted 2 here. What? I might have to improvise this one. Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey is a film, and I'm just going to look at my review from Letterboxd. My quote is, "I can't believe Missy divorced your dad and married mine." This film is weird and confusing. I gave it 3 stars, but like in contrast to the 3.5 stars from the previous one, I don't get the overall appeal of Bogus Journey. I've heard those people say like, "Oh, it's better than the first one," but it's like, but this one, the first one is fun from start to finish. It has iconic moments, iconic quotable lines, funny characters, great jokes that work over and over again. The whole satirical send-up of 80s culture really works. Even though this one was done in 91 and could really continue that, it instead kind of like, I'm going to say embellished, but I don't think that's the right word. Pretty much, they overdo themselves. They start with them in the future, and it's like everyone's studying at this university with a really, really awful statue of Bill and Ted, which I feel like is meant to be commendable. The fact that like everyone has gotten really stupid in the future, but then how could they make time machines if they got really stupid? And they've traded this like one room future where everyone is like a weird kind of cult, but it seems kind of super cool because they seem kind of like super prestigious. But then suddenly they're all wearing the second one, they're all wearing these really goofy 80s outfits that are grey and bright pink or bright neon colours, and they got big ass shoes, and it's all awful and it looks atrocious. And then the bad guys come in and it's like, hey, we're the bad guys, we're all in black, but we're not goths because we're like the Borg. They look like the Borg, which is okay because I like the Borg, but they don't act like the Borg, so they're boring. and it makes them very boring. And I don't care about the bad guys. He's like, I want to rewrite history in my own way. It's like, dude, you can't do it's not going to work. And the plot is that the bad guys use an android version of Bill and Ted, and when they first come in, they're like, "Hey guys," and they're acting like themselves from the '90s, or from the '80s, I should say. And everyone's like, "Wow, look, it's Bill and Ted," and then they like tear off their faces from their mouths up in their android. It's just like, what the? But it's really cool. I think it's like the it's my favorite moment of the film where they reveal themselves to be androids, because it's like so weird and so creepy, and it's like, oh my god, this is great. And it's got great practical effects too. But then the rest of the film, when they show off that they're androids, they just open up their chest, and it's just like, look, we've got robot parts inside. Instead of taking off their face, maybe they realize, oh my god, that was really horrifying, let's not do that again. So I guess it makes sense. And so they send evil Bill and Ted back in time to kill Bill and Ted, make their speech get screwed up, so then world peace doesn't happen, and then the big bad guy can enforce his own ideology and rule, because he's apparently a futuristic dictator that apparently was a sports teacher. Like, that's meant to be like the ending joke, is like, he was it's like my best teacher, my best pupil. The end of the film, you find out that the best teacher was actually a PE teacher, a sports teacher, and the best student was still Rufus. But it's like, it's Rufus, but he's crap, because I mean, look, Rufus wasn't in the first one that much, but he's in less of this one, and he's much more boring in this one, because it's like he's only doing it for the paycheck. It just kind of sucks. The film itself, yeah, they get killed by the robots, and the babes break up with them even though they don't, and then the robots take over their lives and screw around with the babes, and then they try to redo their speech, but then they fail because Bill and Ted have like duped Death, and by pulling a wedgie on him, which is like really, really cheesy, and it's like, that's really childish and dumb. And then they go throughout hell, which is really fun. Like, the visuals in this film are great. Like, in contrast to the first film, the visuals are boom, wow, fucking fireworks. The production design is so much better in the second one, but the writing is dull, and the satire doesn't land, and the jokes are kind of lackluster. And I don't really care, given that, like, the first one, it's stupid. Like, the whole idea is stupid. It's like, they have to pass their history exam, so they're gonna time travel to do so. Wow, that's funny and stupid. I get behind it suddenly, instantly. This one is like, oh, evil robots have come back from the future to kill the main characters, and the main characters have to come back to life to save the world. And I don't care. I know some people like this film. I don't think it's bad. Again, 3 stars. I think the performance of Death is great. I don't think he's as iconic as people have said. Like, a lot of people said that he's the best part of the film, and I'm like, I mean, he's alright. I definitely like him. I like him more than anyone else in the film. Nobody mentions the two, what's station, the aliens. No, even when they're on Earth, nobody's like, why are there aliens? Or why is the Grim Reaper playing the bass? It's a weird film. I don't think it's better than Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. I think it has some good moments, but not nearly enough or as much iconic moments as the first one. I think all the best stuff happens in like the last 20 minutes. And that's not just because it's finishing, but also because, like, you know, you get the best stuff of Death, because Death embraces how stupid everything is and just goes along with it. And he suddenly becomes a famous bassist. Bassist? I think bassist, yeah. But I do like the parts in Hell. I think they were too brief, and didn't have much impact on the film. Like, if they wanted to go to the smarter route of the film, then they'd have all the, like, oh, you know, the grandma and the stealing that thingy from his brother and all this other stuff. Especially when they realize that this is their hell. It's like, you have to choose one of the hells for all of you. It's not what these hells represent, which the obvious one is the military dude, because he's, you know, both of them will have to go to military school if they fail as a band. And so it's like, yeah, but you know that they don't fail, so there's no, you know, stress or conflict. There's none. There's nothing there. And then the other two, it's like, what's up with his grandma? It's like, what? He doesn't like his grandma. Who cares? Shit happens like that all the time. There's like no real essence, no real meat to it. It's just the bones of the dead grandma, pretty much. There's nothing there, so there's no meaning behind it. And at least nothing for the characters to reflect on, to build on. In fact, they don't even evolve in the film. Like the whole point of them is to come back to life and become better musicians, so they can perform and show the world what peace, like that everyone can be peaceful with their music, like some kind of Beatles-esque hippies crap. I like the Beatles, but like still hippie crap. At least that's kind of the vibe they're going for, and it's like, but they don't even do that. By the time they come back to life and defeat the robots on stage in front of everyone, with death and a woman that takes off her skin and is apparently Rufus, a dictator from the future, and time travel and aliens, and no one's baffled by this, apparently. And then they're like, oh, we can't actually play, so let's go into the time machine. We'll come back in a few minutes and then play for you. And they go for 15 months, I think it is. Their girlfriends, their fiancés have a kid each. They have these really bad fake beards and moustaches. And then, well, I should just say facial hair. And then they play, and apparently it's really good music. And everyone around the world is like, yes, I'm 100% behind this. Suddenly. It's not a good film, I don't think. I think it's okay. It definitely has moments that are enjoyable. But yeah, no, I definitely think Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure is better. So I'd still say give Bogus Journey a go. Like, I didn't want to give a negative criticism. I didn't want to be like, it's bad or this is dumb and whatever. But it's like, as much as the first film is very dumb, it works because it's self-aware enough that it works. It's dumb, you can enjoy it, it doesn't matter about anything else. There's nothing special, like, in terms of, like, meaning towards it. It's all, like, the only real meaning is a satire of 80s culture, and they use it as a joke to build up the whole entire film. Whereas the second one doesn't have anything, really. It's like, oh, hey, we're kind of still doing the satire, but it's just bad. I kind of question if the same guys write the first and second one. That's what we should check out. Who wrote the first one? Who wrote the second one? So it's directed by two different guys. The second one was written by two different people, Chris Matheson and Ed Solomon. And the first one was the second one was, they were written by the same two guys. It was just directed by someone else. And I don't think it's the director that is the problem. So, yeah, who's doing the third one? It's the same writers. Okay. Apparently Def comes back for the third one, so it's going to be Bill and Ted Face the Music. You interested to see William Sadler again as Def? I am too, actually, but at the same time, it's like, I also don't know if the movie's going to be good. It could be really, really awful, because, it just could be. So, yeah, how many more reviews do we have left? I don't think we have many more. Cool. We have one last review left, so let's go to that one. Anyone Can Quantum is a short film directed by Alex Winter, and it fucking sucks. So yes, I took a look at some Alex Winter stuff. He's Bill from Bill and Ted. Sure, why not? And I was like, I'm gonna take a look at his stuff to see what he's done since doing Bill and Ted, and found two with Keanu Reeves, two related to a quantum thingy. The first one I watched was the one with Zoe Saldana, and it was so poorly written and directed and even acted that I'm like, I'm not even going to wait till Keanu Reeves comes in. I'm just going to stop this right here. So I just clicked pause, 4 minutes into a 12-minute video, and then clicked on the next one, which was Anyone Can Quantum, which was the first part of this two-parter, which has Stephen Hawking as himself, Paul Rudd as himself, as actor Paul Rudd, and Keanu Reeves as the narrator and Keanu from the future. He plays two people, and it's weird. So yes, this is a 2016 short film that was directed by Alex Winters. I watched this 12-minute video. Of course, I attempted the second one, but it was awful, so I didn't watch it anyway. Even though it had, Simon Pegg and Zoe Saldana and John Cho, but it was awful. And like they only like plugged. By the time I stopped watching it. They'd only plugged Star Trek once, so I was like, yeah, I'm not watching this crap. So Keanu Reeves narrates over footage of Paul Rudd jacking off to quantum chess whilst texting Stephen Hawking. Wait, what? Oh, he just plays chess with Stephen Hawking, except it's online and it's quantum chess, which allows you to move in different ways that you can't in regular chess. It's like 3D chess. Stupid, unnecessary, and yet they still make it anyway. And it really sucks, actually. The video really sucks. I mean, I don't really think I can criticize the directing, but at the same time, I can. Alex Winter is not a good director, I don't think. The second one, obviously, is much, much worse. In terms of acting and writing and editing, it is atrocious. So, I mean, at least this one has the upper hand. It has better acting. I'd say better acting from Stephen Hawking, but at the same time, imagine Stephen Hawking was an actor and you just keep giving him memes to say. Yeah. It's rip. Yeah. But then it's just like, this one still is boring as hell. The acting is pretty yuck. And it's kind of weird cross-promotion of Ant-Man and chess. Like, they're like, back in 2015, like, this is Keanu Reeves narrating, back in 2015 when actor Paul Rudd went into the quantum realm in Ant-Man 2015, and he's just like, oh, we now know how to do extra quantum stuff, and it's like he plays Paul Rudd is like, I'm like, Keanu calls him from the future and says, you have to do the talk at Caltech instead of Stephen Hawking, and Stephen Hawking's like, dude, what? I'm gonna do it, and then they're like, let's do quantum chess to see who should do it. And of course Paul Rudd wins in the dumbest way, and they've got all these Twitter things on the side with different actors and celebrities like responding to it as if it was happening live, and it's so fake and dumb. And I feel sorry for Stephen Hawking. I mean, he probably got a paycheck out of it, so it doesn't really matter. But it's just awful, and so dumb and stupid, and yeah, my review for it is 1 out of negative infinity, so yeah, take that as you will. And of course, lucky last, we're going to talk about The Matrix. But I've already actually filmed it, so let me just... Okay, now for the piece de la résistance. We are talking about The Matrix. Look, I got the 4K. I really like it. It's cool. It's like, woohoo, wow, nice. I even watched it in 4K too, again, and it was just like... 10 out of 10, boys. The Matrix is a 1999 film written and directed by the Wachowskis, whom I actually have a devoted collection right over there. It has every single one of their films. The only thing it doesn't have is Sense8, because, of course, Netflix is a dick and won't release it on DVD. Who said that? What? So given that this is my third time watching it, which seems weird, given that I'm 20, and this is the third time I've watched it, and I watched it once last year when I got the 4K, once this year to watch this review, for this review, and then once the year beforehand, I watched it on DVD, and I'm like, in my bedroom, and I'm like, wow, this is really cool. I went in the lounge room, I'm like to my dad, Matrix is really cool, and he's like, oh, did you watch it? I'm like, yeah, I just watched it for the first time on DVD in my room, and he's like, why didn't you watch it out here with a good surround sound system? And I'm like, I don't know, why didn't I? And then I got the 4K the next year in this beautiful room with this excellent sound system, and 10 out of 10, boys. 10 out of 10. Brief review, I guess, of the sequels, because of course you guys are going to ask, and no, I'm not going to review his performance in them, because he kind of does the same stuff anyway. I gave them pretty much 3 to 3.5 stars. I don't hate them. I think that they're pretty cool with their action, the cinematography and effects, and the philosophy discussed. I think the stories are obviously the lackluster part. to which most people agree. And I obviously think that they could be better, but I still really like them, actually. When I watched all three of them, one after the next, all in 4K, I was like, I'd never seen the sequels, and so I was watching them all new in this way, and I'm like, actually, I don't think I'd ever seen the sequels. Maybe I had seen them on DVD. I can't remember. Either way, I watched them all on 4K, and I'm like, I actually really like it. I really like the sequels. I don't think they're better than the first one. Hell no. Realistically, if you wanted to, you don't even have to ever watch the sequels. You can just be like, oh, well, technically the whole film ends at the end of the first one, but at the same time, it doesn't. But the whole idea of the first film is Keanu Reeves, Mr. Anderson, is he the one? Is Neo the one? And that's the whole point of the film. So, yeah. So yeah, 3 or 3.5 for both of those two. I'm not going to give a solid review now because I haven't rewatched them yet, so my reviews could change. So yes, right now we're talking about number 1, the first one, number 1, Neo, number 1. Get it? It's a joke. It's like not a funny one. It's like a pun. Again, not a funny one. Easily a 5-star film. 10 out of 10 film. Literally. I have nothing bad to say about this film. It's amazing. The story is great. The action is great. The performances are great. The special effects are great. The cinematography especially is my favorite, and I love it. And oh my god, is this film beautiful? It's so well shot. It's no Blade Runner 2049, which is beautifully shot throughout the whole film. This one is like, hey, let's give you 100,000 really, really great shots, and then like 10 exceptional shots. And it's like, what? Shit, boy, it's good. So, so Keanu, of course, his performance is pretty fucking good. He drops the whoa attitude. No, he drops the whoa. I can't do his whoa. Like, he's really dumb woes from Bill and Ted. He drops that and is like, whoa, He's like as wowed as everyone else in the audience who have just shit their pants because of how good this movie is. I wrote that down, but at the same time, I had to just kind of say it without having to look at the script. It's cool. Keanu is cool. Keanu is suave. Keanu is badass. So yeah, this has been my TED Talk about why Keanu Reeves is so good. He obviously has a hell of a lot more films that I could review and watch, and I have seen a lot of films of him in it. I chose these ones in particular because some of them are good, some of them are bad, some of them are fantastic, and I really wanted to rewatch them as well. So, it gives me an excuse to watch films I've never watched, like Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey and Man of Tai Chi, rewatch films and masterpieces like Speed and The Matrix, and overall enjoy myself. So yeah, if you haven't seen, part 1 is linked in the description or in the reviewing actor playlist, alongside Cara Delevingne, Dakota Johnson, Aubrey Plaza, and Masami Nagasawa, which is my Japan special. You can subscribe too. That'd be cool. It's probably the coolest thing you could do. What else do I have to say? Next actor is gonna be another 2-parter. It's gonna be fun. I mean, this one was fun, of course, but it's like, oh no, unleash the cage.